The transport shuddered when the boarding clamp bit through its hull, and Ren Callaway did not reach for a weapon because he did not have one. He had a recycled water bulb and a folded blanket and a seat in the third row of a civilian evacuation shuttle, surrounded by 92 people who had never heard a pressure hull fail. The woman beside him, Theodora Vance, was holding a sleeping toddler against her shoulder and counting the child's breaths without knowing she was doing it. Callaway watched the ceiling seam above the forward hatch flex inward and thought about how long the atmosphere would last once it split. "They're docking," Theodora said. "That's docking, right?" "That's not shooting. That's docking," Callaway said. The Vashiri came through 8 minutes later. They came correctly. They came in a wedge, 3 of them wide-shouldered under segmented armor, the 4th hanging back at the hatch with a weapon covering the aisle, and the 5th reading a scanner and calling out heat signatures. Callaway noted all of it and kept his hands loose on his knees. The Vashiri boarding officer, a tall one with a pale crest and a voice box slung at his throat, walked the aisle slowly and looked at faces. His name was Cyril Undat, and he was very good at his job. That was the problem, though nobody on the shuttle understood it yet. "Civilian registry," Undat said through the box. "This vessel carries no combatants." "Confirm, confirm," the pilot said over the cabin speaker, voice thin. Undat's scanner swept the rows. It was looking for elevated cortisol, weapon residue, subdermal implants, the whole standard package. Callaway had none of it. He had been out for 6 years. His implants had been pulled at discharge, his hands had gone soft on a hydroponics contract, and his heart rate at that moment was slower than the sleeping toddler's. The scanner passed over him and found nothing worth a second look. That was the first thing the Vashiri got wrong, and it was not a stupid mistake. Their law was strict on it. Vashiri doctrine forbade the killing of non-combatants, and their doctrine defined a combatant by what a body carried. Because among the Vashiri a warrior was surgically marked from adolescence. A Vashiri without the marks could not fight. It was biology and law braided together, and it had served them across 400 years of expansion. Callaway had no marks. So Callaway was furniture. "We are taking 62 of you," Undat said. "Labor obligation. The remainder continue." The cabin made a sound Callaway had heard before, in a stairwell on a colony that no longer existed. It was not screaming. It was the noise people make when they understand that a selection is happening and they do not know the criteria. Theodora's grip tightened on the toddler. "How do they choose?" "Mass and age," Callaway said, and she looked at him because he had said it too fast and too flat. They started at the rear. 2 Vashiri worked the aisle with restraint loops, and Undat stood forward with the scanner and read out row numbers. Callaway watched them work and learned 3 things without moving. They restrained wrists in front, not behind, because Vashiri arm joints did not fold the other way, and they had built the tool for their own anatomy. They kept the covering weapon at the hatch and never advanced it, and every time a restrained human was walked forward, Undat glanced at the scanner instead of the human, because the scanner was authority and the human was cargo. Callaway counted 6 passes. By the 6th, he knew the rhythm well enough to move inside it. He did not move yet. Row by row, it came forward. A man 2 seats back fought and was put down with a strike to the shoulder joint. Efficient, non-lethal, exactly correct under Vashiri law. Undat did not even look up. When they reached Theodora's row, one of them reached for the toddler first to make her compliant, and that was the second thing the Vashiri got wrong, and it was also not stupid. It was standard. It worked on everyone. Callaway stood up. "Take me instead," he said. "I'm heavier. You want mass." Undat looked at him for the first time. Really looked. Callaway kept his shoulders rounded, kept his chin slightly down, kept his hands open and visible, and shaking just enough. He had practiced that shake in a debriefing room a long time ago, when instructors taught men how to be uninteresting. "You volunteer," Andot said. "I'm useless to her and useful to you." Andot considered it. His doctrine had no rule against a willing body. He gestured, and the restraint loop closed around Callaway's wrists, in front, and Callaway let himself be walked forward past 60 rows of people who would remember later that he had gone quietly. At the hatch he stopped and turned his head, and Theodora saw his face, and something in it made her push the toddler down below the seat line and put her arm across the aisle to hold back the man beside her. She had understood, without being told, that she needed to get low. The transfer tube was narrow and lit yellow, and had a 90-degree bend where it mated to the Vashiri corvette. Callaway walked it with 2 escorts, and Andot behind. And at the bend he did the only thing he had been waiting to do. He fell. It was a bad fall, an old man's fall, knees first, restrained hands slapping the deck. The lead escort turned back to haul him up. Vashiri arm joints do not fold backward. Callaway came up under the escort's elbow, with the restraint loop stretched between his fists, and used the loop as a bar against the joint. And the joint went the way joints go when they are asked to do something they were never built for. The escort's weapon came free in Callaway's hands, with the strap still attached to a shoulder that no longer worked. The second escort was competent and fast and fired into the tube. Callaway was already below the firing line, because he had gone down before the shot and not after it. And the round went through the tube wall, and the tube began to vent. Pressure loss in a mating tube triggers an automatic seal at both ends. Vashiri Engineering did that correctly. It sealed Andot and 1 escort on the corvette side, and Callaway and the wounded one on the shuttle side. And it did it in under 3 seconds. And it meant that for the length of that emergency cycle, the corvette could not put another body into the tube. Callaway used the cycle. He came back through the shuttle hatch low and to the left, and the covering gunner at the hatch was still facing the cabin, still watching 60 rows of humans, because that was where the threat had always been in every boarding this crew had ever run. Callaway shot him from behind at 3 meters, and then he shot the 2 working restraints in the aisle before the second one finished turning, and then it was quiet except for the venting alarm and Theodora breathing hard behind a seat back, with her arms still across the aisle. "Restraints," Callaway said. "Get everyone out of them." Now, they got out of them. 62 people, who had been cargo 8 minutes earlier, stripped the loops off each other, while Callaway stood at the hatch and watched the seal cycle count down and thought about what came next. Because the corvette had 18 more crew and a hull that could open this shuttle like a can. He made the choice there, at the hatch, and it removed everything else. He did not seal the shuttle and run. Running meant the corvette shot them down at leisure in open space, and it meant Andot filed a report, and it meant the next shuttle full of civilians got boarded by a crew that had learned nothing. He went the other way. He put the shuttle's docking clamp on manual and locked it hard, welding them to the corvette. And then he took the wounded escort's weapon and the pilot and 4 volunteers and went through the tube the moment the seal released. Andot met them in the corvette's spine corridor with a defensive line already formed. Because he was good, he had reassessed. He had thrown out the scanner reading and rebuilt his threat model in 90 seconds, and his line was correct, and it covered the corridor, and it would have held against soldiers coming down the middle. Callaway did not come down the middle. He came through the coolant conduit above it, which was a crawl space no Vashiri shoulder could enter, which was why it was not covered, which was why it existed at all. It took 4 minutes to take the spine. It cost him 2 of the volunteers, and he knew both their names by then, and he would carry those two names longer than he carried the 23 Vashiri who did not walk off that ship. Undat was alive when Callaway found him at the bridge hatch, crest split, one arm useless, the voice box still working. "You carried no marks," Undat said. Callaway looked at him for a long moment. Then he took the corvette's boarding manifest, the whole record of it, and he pushed it into the transmitter and sent it wide on the Vashiri fleet channel, unencrypted, the raw feed of 23 casualties and a corridor lost to a man their own scanner had cleared as furniture. He left Undat alive to be found beside it. The shuttle came into the relay station 6 hours later with a Vashiri corvette welded to its flank and 62 people aboard who had learned to get low without being told. Theodora carried the toddler down the ramp herself. She did not look back at Callaway. He stayed on the ramp until the crowd cleared, standing with his hands open at his sides, and then he went and found a seat in the corner of the arrivals hall, with his back to the wall and his eyes on the door, the way he had not needed to sit for 6 years, and he did not get up again for a long time.